Cut through all of that stuff. Let's just get on to doing some painting this evening. Welcome all, welcome into the studio. I'm glad to have you all here. I'm excited to do some watercolor painting this evening because we're painting my little baby chickies. There they are, right there. This was taken just out on my back patio. The three of them on a little perch that I made for them. I'm so excited about this. When they were little and living in the house still, I made that little perch for them so that they would have a place to rest on when they came in for the night before they finally went to sleep. They used to sleep in this little pile and make these cute little cooing noises. This is totally adorable. I just noticed I don't have my colors rolling down on the bottom. There are the colors that I'm using. In my palette over here on my right hand side, the paints that I'm using are my M-Gram paints. I've been using them for a while, and the colors scroll from up here with the blues and come down and around, and you can see all of those. Any questions on those, please ask. I love answering questions about paint and color. Let's see. Hello, everybody's here. Sudike is here. Liza here. Born Again Farm Girl is here. Woo. Okay. So, I should say, the paper that I have is a Fabriano Studio watercolor paper again, and for the time being, still using my King art brushes. Okay, I think that is everything we need to talk about, other than the fact that, other than the fact that the little girl in the front here, her name is Blueberry. The one in the middle is Dahlia, and the little one on the end over there with the white on her head, you can just see it. Her name is Roxy. Actually, before we get started, let me do this. I think you'll be able to take here we go. I think you can take a good look at the image there. So that girl in the front is, again, that's Blueberry. And the one in the middle is Dahlia, and the one in the back there, the little one all the way in the back, yes, that's Roxy. All right, now back to me and what we were doing. So I'm gonna paint them one at a time. Probably, I don't know, I should start in the front maybe, or I should start in the back, but I'm gonna start in the front. Natalie is here. Welcome, Natalie. And excuse me, I'm going to break kind of my own rule on this one, and I'm going to use Paynes Gray because this chicken in the front, this little girl in the front, actually has quite a bit of blue in her feathers. And if you look closely at that, I'll put that back up again if you guys want to see that. There is quite a bit of blue in her feathers, and I just want to represent that a little. I'm going to put a little bit of cerulean in my gray here, and we'll just use that, and we'll go from there. Let's see. Something else to know about these three, other than they're really not any trouble, and they make really adorable, cute noises. The one in the front here, the one I'm painting right now, who I said her name is Blueberry. She's a blue Maroon. I don't know if anybody really wants to know what breed they are, but she's a blue Maroon. And she's one of the breeds of chicken that has feathers on her legs. So I think that's kind of an interesting thing, right? Not a lot of chickens have that. Oh, we got a few extra people coming in here. Uncle 60 is here. Hello. And I saw somebody else. Tracy's here. Hello. 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 Now, I don't know who asked last week if I have any connection to birds, because I paint a lot of birds, which I do. But it kind of spurred me on to paint this, so whoever that was, you get credit for that. That in my family has been saying I should be painting my chickens. They've been saying it for weeks now, and I've kind of just been putting it off, but we're doing it now. And so I'm going to enjoy painting my chickens, and you guys are going to hopefully enjoy this right along with me, and we'll talk chickens and paint and color and whatever else we can talk about. Oh, Liza, you're always so nice. Everybody hit the thumbs up button. That does really help out. Thank you for that, Liza. It does help out. And I'll get into, the more likes I get, the more I get into an algorithm that pushes my stuff out more. Natalie, Natalie, you think it was Blue from France who asked? It could have been. I don't remember who it was. But if that was Blue from France, then that's actually apropos, because I'm painting blue right now. Let's see. The chicken in the middle. I'm just going to talk about my chickens here for just a minute while I'm putting a little color on here. The chicken in the middle of this chicken threesome. Chickens seem to be popular. Chickens do seem to be popular. Ever since COVID, chickens have gotten really popular. The chicken in the middle is a Mystic Onyx. I had to think what the designation is for that. This is a Mystic Onyx, and that one is part silky, right? And silkies, if you've ever seen a chicken that has like this big mop on its head, that's probably a silky. So she's half silky, and that's kind of one of the things that defines the breed for Mystic Onyxes, is that they are half silky. Interesting fact about Dahlia is that she has I almost said 6. She's got 5 toes. Right, most birds have 4, I believe. If I counted right, I don't know. But she's got an extra toe that the other birds don't have, and I don't know why it is, but that's kind of one of the hallmarks of silkies, is that they have that extra toe hanging out there. So that's kind of an interesting thing about her. I feel like I'm giving a lecture on my birds. Are they egg layers? Yes, these are all egg layers. I didn't get them for their eggs specifically, but yes, they do. They will all be layers. This Maroon that I'm painting right now, her eggs will be dark brown, like almost a chocolate color brown. And that's not all Maroons lay eggs that color, but most do, and that's one of the hallmarks of a Maroon. And she'll lay somewhere in the order of 200 to 230 eggs in her first full year, which seems like a lot to me, like she's doing a lot of work. The one in the middle there that Mystic Onyx. She will lay eggs also. Silkies aren't really known for egg laying capacity, but they'll still lay for about the first good 2 years. Are they a smaller breed or are they just young birds? They are young. So I want to say, that's a great question. I want to say, and let's see, I got them at 7 weeks. And I'm trying to think, we may have had them another 7. So they're only 14 weeks old. They're not very old. The one in the back here is a speckled Sussex, and she is completely adorable. She's also kind of a pain because she gets into everything, but that's okay. Speckled Sussexes are known for being completely friendly to you when they grow up. They're one of the friendlier breeds of chickens, and that's kind of why we got her. Is it acceptable to have a runny white in a farm fresh egg? I bought some last week and never seen it before. A runny white. Let's see. That's a good question. I think it's only really going to get runny if it gets to be old. The thing I know about my eggs, my girls' eggs, is that I call it nuclear yellow. The yolks are really yellow. I haven't noticed a lot of difference in the store-bought egg whites and these chickens' eggs whites. So Liza, I'm sorry, that's a good question. I don't know the answer to that, other than to say I know that the yellows are going to be different, but the whites I'm not so sure. She's got a bunch of speckled up here, but I should say I think I said I didn't buy any of these necessarily for egg production. I bought them because the first set of chickens we had were so nice and so much fun that we just had to keep the party going. And these ones are renowned. Silkies are renowned, the middle one there, for being friendly chickens, right? We want them to be part of the family and enjoy our company while we're outside enjoying their company. The Maroon is supposed to be a very friendly chicken, in the Sussex, like I said before, also a very friendly chicken. So we're hoping that they're going to work out. I try to go over and pick them up and hold them for a couple of minutes every day. Let's see. Oh, the float test. Yes, Susie brought up the float test. If you have an egg and it sinks, it's fresh. If it floats, it's old. And if it floats, it's probably good to hard boil, and that's about it. I eat a lot of eggs. Eliza, you put it in water and it didn't float or even lift. So I will say this, Liza. Okay, so the chicken is an amazing factory. I hate to say it this way, but they really are. And a young chicken will produce an egg. The best laying ones will lay an egg every roughly 20 to 24 hours, maybe a little longer. I think the world record for an egg laying chicken is close to 300 eggs a year, which is a lot. And so if you get an egg that has a little bit of runniness to it or whatnot, it might have a lot to do with what that chicken was eating that day, right? If they had much more of a water diet, there's a chance that it's going to be a little bit looser. If they didn't have quite as much water, there's a chance that it will be a little firmer. But because their body constantly turns over all that they are doing, and their body's constantly working to produce these eggs, there can be some variation in the look and feel of the eggs. I get eggs sometimes that are the shells are really thin. I get them sometimes that they're super thick. I get them that they're a little bigger. I get them that they're a little smaller. Tracy's gonna start eating more eggs. I shudder to say, during the summer when everybody's laying and everything's good, I might eat close to a dozen eggs a week. I'll make myself an omelet on the weekend, and it'll easily, most times, be a 6-egg omelet, which is fantastic. Which is wonderful. Eggs are so good. And then I hard boil them. I take them to work with me for a snack at lunch, if I don't eat a full lunch or something. Anyway, eggs are truly wonderful things. I'm with you, Natalie. All of that propaganda that eggs are bad is a bunch of bunko. They are high in cholesterol, or relatively high in cholesterol, but it's not necessarily a bad thing to eat a little cholesterol. We don't know everything about cholesterol, and if you have some overarching health issues, maybe tone it back a little bit. But eggs for a long time have been a wonderful staple of many people's diets. I'm not a physician. I don't know anything about anything. I'm just saying I don't necessarily believe the hype. YouTube's probably gonna slap me with a ban for promoting eggs or something. I don't know. Maybe the Egg Council will sponsor my channel. I'm painting this one with a green undertint here. You obviously can see that. And I'm doing it for a specific reason, right? The first reason is I want it to be different color than blue in the front, right? I want her to be a little different. But also, if you were to see her, and I'll put the image up there again so you can look at it. Her feathers do have this kind of green iridescent shine to them, and I want to try to pay a little homage to that. And so I'm trying to do that a little bit. So I do have 2 other chickens. I don't want to leave them out. I have Betty, who's a barred rock chicken. I had to get a barred rock. It's classic looking chicken. True Americana look. Those are the black and white ones. They look like they have little stripes on them. So I have one of those. And I have a black Australorp named Pumpkin. And Pumpkin of the big girls, Pumpkin is my favorite. And she lets me pick her up all the time. I just walk right over to her and I pick her up, and she'll sit in my lap and she'll coo and make noises and do whatever. And I kind of think she knows that she's like the favorite because she tries to get away with a lot. I have to kind of try to not let her get away with too much. Let's see. Liza, your dog didn't even like if your dog didn't like the eggs, something seriously was going on with those eggs. Something was going on with those eggs. Let's see. I'm talking about eggs, and you're going spoken like somebody with a low cholesterol level. Kind of. Actually, my cholesterol level is high, but my LDL and my HDL are both high, so they're in balance. And I think personally, and again, I'm not a medical anything. I don't know anything from anything, but I would think if they're in balance, if your levels are in balance, you're probably pretty good wherever you're at. And again, I don't know. Please don't take any health advice from me. Do they come running if I call their name? They don't, but they don't have to, because every time I come walking out, I open the slider or I come walking around the corner from the garage, or from the driveway, they come running over to meet me. So I don't actually have to call their name for them to come over. They just know I'm there and they come running right up to me. Liza, you were assaulted by a mean chicken when you were 2. That can be devastating. I have strong feelings about geese because I've been assaulted by geese so many times. It's not the same animal, but I'm betting it's pretty similar. And I have no tolerance for geese at this point in my life. They can go away. But chickens, totally different for me. And chickens can be around and do whatever they want. I'm totally happy to have a chicken around. And I don't know if I had a bad time with chickens growing up. Well, I had chickens growing up a number of years. And they were just always there. And I remember going over to play with them. I just run over and grab them and pick them up. And I don't remember them minding too much what we did, but they were never pets. There was always the understanding that they weren't necessarily pets. It jumped on my back and pecked the jinkies out of me. Your mom fought it off with a broom. Oh, Susie, you were terrified of chickens. You were terrified by a chicken as a child. That's terrible. It's kind of funny, but it's terrible. Chicken horror stories. I had more trouble with like cows and whatnot growing up. They were just so big they never seemed to bother doing what I wanted them to do. It's so terrible. I'm growing up, I don't know. It's this big farm animal, and then they would just push me out of the way and walk past me and do whatever. They weren't even my cows. We had friends who were dairy farmers. I didn't try to go over and play with them, but chickens, I've loved chickens all the time. They've been fantastic to me. I'm starting that process, right, of darkening up some areas on this chicken to try to give it some depth and some dimensionality. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm using that same color that I had mixed up before, a little what am I trying to say? A little Paynes Gray and a little bit of Cerulean Blue is all this is. And I just want to get it on here a little bit and start to add some dimensionality to blue here. I should say, yesterday this was the cutest thing. I put the chickens away. They're ready to go to bed. They're in the coop, and I walked over to check on them to see if they're really ready to go to sleep or not. What's going on is check in with them before they go to bed and tell them good night. Right? All that's all well and good. And Roxy came out of the coop, ran over to me, hopped up on her perch, and just kept looking at me like this, and look at me like this. And she'd look over here, and she'd look back at me. So I had to go pick her up. I picked her up and held her for, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 minutes, something like that. And then told her it's time for her to go to bed. She's got to go to bed. And I put her down, and she ran into the coop. Ran up the steps to get in the house to go to sleep, and then turned around and ran right back towards me. And then, I told her, nope, it's time. You got to go to bed. You got to go. I pointed her and kind of went, go that way, go. And reluctantly, she went into bed. It was, I would have expected that from Blue here in the front, not necessarily from Roxy, but it was an adorable little moment. It was so cute, so much fun. Yes, I dote over my chickens, and probably a little too much. Uncle 60, any rooster? No, I don't have a rooster. We're not allowed to have a rooster in the city limits where I live, so no rooster. In fact, there are, just on my street alone, my little bit of the street, this kind of corner of the town where I live, I think there are 5 different houses that have chickens. Might be 6. There are a few that have chickens, but no roosters around. We're not allowed to have them, and I think we would know it right away if we did. That would be cackling up a storm in the morning, waking everybody up. But nope, no chicken. I had a friend, or still have a friend, who lives in the next town over, and they're not allowed to have chickens either. But they raised some from eggs. They all of a sudden, how did this happen? They bought some chicks, and they weren't sexed, and so they didn't know if they had a rooster or not. And it turned out that they did, and their chicken coop is kind of set back on their property a ways, and so this guy wasn't really paying attention, and his kids didn't say anything to him about it. And all of a sudden, he got woken up one morning with a cock-a-doodle-doo, and he tried to solve the problem by fitting a device on it that would limit how it cackles. It couldn't cackle fully, so it kind of did this car. And after a while, he was like, I can't do that to that poor chicken. So he took it out to a friend's farm who lives out in the valley. I see you saying she just needed some love and attention. She did. And Eliza said, yeah, you'd bet there's a rooster ordinance. There is a rooster ordinance in place. I'm sure it's been in place for a long time, because they do get loud very quickly, and their cackle carries very far. So I'd be willing to bet that rooster ordinance has been there for a long, long time. Let's see. Somebody has a friend with chickens. Friends with chickens. I like that. Let's see. Chickens feel very 1930s to me. That's perfect. I like that. They can feel very 1930s. To me, I would have said, I'm with you on the 30s. I would have said the 40s. Right? I think they fit in very well with your Victory Garden. Right? That's one thing I think you would have had around your house in the 40s to help support the troops by not eating poultry, and then that could go to the troops. So in your Victory Garden, or in conjunction with your Victory Garden, you'd have had some chickens somewhere around. That's just how I imagine it. but you know, 30s, that's right in there too. But what I've realized since I've had my chickens, and I'm trying to think how long I've had my chickens. I want to say we're probably going on 7 years now, would be my guess. It's about the amount of time we've had chickens. What you come to understand is that they all have their own personality. Let's see. True 1940s. Roosevelt, a chicken in every pot. I was thinking Great Depression. Okay, yeah, there you go. Is the cost of feed rising, or do you find it affordable? It's pretty affordable. I'll get to that in a second. Uncle 60 says, you ever get predators trying to get into the coop? Okay, so great questions all. And here's the answer to some. I'll answer all. We don't have any predators. The biggest thing we would have here is a raccoon. I live in, it's certainly not a built up area, but I don't abut any wild spaces. I say that fully knowing that we have seen coyotes in downtown, in my town, which is 6 blocks further from me towards the center of town. But my entire backyard is walled in. And like I said, I don't live next to any wild areas. So they would have to either walk up the driveway, which is gated, or they would have to hop the fence. So like I said, the biggest thing that would come in would be a raccoon. I haven't seen a raccoon in a while. I have seen skunks. Skunks possibly could do harm to the chickens, but I've seen possum come into the yard, but they're not going to bother the chickens. So I don't worry about it. They are in an enclosed cage at night, but I don't really worry about it all that much. Is the cost of feed affordable? So yeah, I'll tell you what I pay. It's no secret. I buy a 40-pound bag of feed, and that 40-pound bag of feed costs me, well, it did go up. It was $16, and now it's $19, and that's over the course of 3 years. It's gone up $3 per 40 pounds, and that bag of feed in the winter, that 40 pounds, will last me about 2 months. In the summer, when they're eating more and doing more, producing more, that will last me about a month. And that's what it cost me with 4 adult chickens, which is what we had last year. So with 4 adult chickens, I would typically get let's see, those 4 chickens with 2 younger ones. So this is my math here, okay? So bear with me. We've had 2 older chickens before and 2 younger chickens, and the older ones started as younger chickens, and I kind of had a rotation going where I thought we would rotate every 2 in every few years. Well, this time I put 3 in instead of 2. But so I've got 2 that were laying before pretty prolifically, so I would get 3 eggs every 2 days. So I was getting at least 3 eggs every 2 days. I should say it that way. So I was getting at least a dozen eggs a week. And when the cost of eggs spiked and went up to you know, $5 and $6 a dozen. Oh, I was making out like a bandit. Now there's not quite as much of a benefit from that, but still, you know, still a nice bit coming out ahead a little bit. Maybe not a great deal, but a little bit. But the other side of that is, like I said, I don't have them just for the eggs. I have them for their company, and they're a pet. So I look at it just as though I were buying cat food or anything else. In fact, I talk about them often as being outdoor cats. I mean, in reality, that's kind of what they're like. You can go out and see them, and they'll come running over to you, and you can pet, well, a couple of them anyways. You can pet them, and you can feed them and play with them, and then sometimes they'll sit on your lap and keep you warm, and sometimes they won't. Oh, Liza, thank you. Hey, Jacqueline is here. Welcome, Jacqueline. I don't know when you came in. They have found a home with me. They will always have a home with me. I told my wife, after we got this first couple, and I don't know, they were such good animals. I told my wife, I'm like, we are never not having a couple of birds here. They're just so nice to have around. And if for nothing else, then they make such nice noises. They really make nice noises. They're very calming. I really enjoy having. I'm looking forward to seeing how these three turn out. As like I said, they all have their own personality. I don't know what they're going to turn out to be like, but they are all manifesting their own personality now already. And it's going to be interesting to see how they progress and whatnot over the course of the next year. It'll be about another month or so. Oh, let's see. 14. It'll be another month and a half probably before any of these start laying. So I've got a month and a half for them to grow and have some more fun running around as a little chicken, and then they get to start their job. I had bantam chickens when you were little. They were so small you'd put them in a baby bucky. Bantams are, anybody who doesn't know, bantams are the same as every other chicken. They're just miniaturized. They're little and typically adorable. I didn't get bantams. I wanted bigger birds. This one in front, Blue, right here, she might, come on, Blue, come back into focus. There we go. Blue will probably end at between a 6 and an 8 pound bird. So she'll be quite large. The one in the middle here, Dahlia, should be 5 pounds-ish, 6 pounds-ish. And the same for Roxy back there. One of the chickens I had before, and you probably have heard me talk about her, is Priscilla. Priscilla might always be my favorite all-time chicken. Priscilla was fantastic. She was a big girl. She was close to, well, she might have hit, I never really weighed her, but she was close to, if not at, about 8 pounds. She was a big girl, and she would come and sit down on you and just snuggle down and sit there and our summers here are chilly from time to time. A lot of fog coming in off the ocean, which is what keeps our temperature down in the summertime. So I walk outside and it'll be 65 degrees. Not cold, but you know, you're thinking summertime and it'll be 70s, 80s, something like that. You're a little chilly. All you do is you grab Priscilla and you set her on your lap and she would snuggle down and keep you nice and warm. Chickens are about 105 degrees. So they're a little warmer than us. So nice. You could stick your hand up under her wing like that if your fingers got a little chilly. So good. All right, I'm giving away all my chicken secrets now. Okay, let's see. Where are we at? So I've tried to get some shading on blue here, so she's not just flat. And then we're going to put some feathers on here. I've drawn those on. You can probably see some of those lines. And some of those feathers are going to help to give her some shape. Yeah, sometimes I don't do everything with a lot of roundness, and I hope that the viewer's eye is going to give some of that. We'll do probably a couple of feathers back here on Dahlia. And I don't know if we'll do any feathers back here, but Roxy back here's got some black lines on her feathers, so we'll get those on here, and that's going to help define the overall shape of these girls. And then of course I haven't done anything with their little faces yet, so we're going to add some color there. Liza says, "Oh, Priscilla was so great. She was so nice." She also had feathers on her legs. They went all the way down to her feet, and she would step on them. So interesting to see. I don't know what. Oops, can you guys see what I'm doing? I don't know what adaptation caused chickens to get feathers on their legs, or if it was people that did that, but kind of an interesting kind of a thing there. My Squirrel Repairman is here. Hello. Let's see. Uncle 60 says, we have hawks, great blue herons, mean river weasels. You have nice river weasels? Or just weaselly river weasels? Foxes, big night owls. They all take chickens if they get a chance. Yeah. 2 blue herons cleared out your koi pond once. I can believe that. They are giant. We have blue herons here, and I love if I go down to the golf course, which is this direction, about a half a mile or so. If I go down there, one of the things that's really interesting is watching the herons hunt on the land. I always think about them hunting in the water. Right? They'll stand at the water edge and they'll look down and they'll get something, but they will stand and listen to see if there are any mice or rats that are running around, and then they'll swoop in and pick them up. And they're big, and you're right, Uncle 60, you're right. They're gigantic. They're like 5 and 6 feet tall. They're massive. Massive animals. Oh, who asked me this? Did I find the shiny watercolor paints? Haha, look what I found. My Supervision paints. These are rock mica layered watercolors. Look at that. And here are the colors in them. Now, I looked for, I had a sheet that I had done with all of this on it, so you could see how it really sparkled. You can kind of get an idea from this, but you don't really get the shimmer off of it. Maybe we'll crack 1 or 2 of these open and show you what it looks like. But yes, I found mine, and now I'm looking for beetles that have a similar color in them, like blue and purple, blue and gold. Where's blue and gold over here? purple and green. I have to look for some beetles, but I did. I found my sparkling ones, and I found just regular glitter ones too. Somewhere. What? Where'd all my? I'm looking across the studio. Hold on one second. Where? Ah, here we go. All right, so I have these two, right, which are glitter paints. I'm gonna put this down. You guys are gonna distract me. Oh, you can kind of see some glitteriness in there, right? And these are ones that you might buy at like Michael's or, you know, some store like that that has glitter paints. And then I have these, which I actually bought for one of my kids years and years and years ago. And these are sparkly paints. This is like a green apple one. This was the whole set. It was a kind of a pink set. I don't know how the apple got in there. But these are highly sparkly, highly sparkly paints. So I've got lots of sparkle, glittery options to go with. And now, oh, I've got some, got some glitter on there. All right, let's see. I'm gonna keep going with blue here. Liza, dang, one more thing you're gonna want to buy. Those are not cheap. I will tell you. Those glitter paints, these Supervision ones, I think this set, I think is like $70. They're not a cheap proposition. But they are, I'm happy to report, they are extremely cool. So, you know, take that with a grain of salt. They're not cheap, and they do have some weird funkiness about them. The colors aren't as color fast as you might like. And they're not exactly the same as the image on the box. So when I tore them out of there and started using them, I was like, wait a minute, this isn't quite what I signed up for. It's cool and all, but not quite what I thought it was, and I kind of had to do a bit of a double take to figure out what was going on. But they are pretty cool. The shiny paints look amazing. All right, you know what? Let's do this. Before I get too far into this, I'll just crack the cap off a couple of these, if I can get them out, and we'll we'll put some of this on paper. Let's see. Here's a purplish one. This one looks kind of cool. And none of them have names, right? This is number 307. So I foresaw this. I have a piece of paper here. Now I know I'm going to crack this open, and then my chickens are going to get sparkly now as a result of this. But let's have some fun with this. Whoops. Let's get some color out of it. I don't know if you can tell. That looks very purpley in here. Put it on the page, and it looks much more blue than purple. There's a little purple coming out. So, oh, you can't even see. Oh, okay, there we go. I'm sorry, I was off. Let's see if we can get a little bit more in here. You can see I'm just dipping into it, putting it right on there. All right, and now let's get a different color, and then we'll let this, set this aside, let it dry. We'll come back to it and see what it does. This one's got a nice bright blue I can see all around here. This is number 324. I don't remember what any of these kind of are like. Oh, look at that. Now that first one, oh, I gotta hold this up. Oh, you can't. You can kind of see some sparkle in there. Oh. Well, I put it on the page, and immediately you can just see it glimmer. And let's do another one. I don't know what color this one is. Let's do this one. Liza, you said that's moody. It is. Whoa, it is kind of moody. All right, let's see. Come on. Let's get some paint going here. Oh, this one's quite different than I thought it was going to be. They've already gone quite hard. I'm trying to squeeze it out just a little bit. I'm going to put it on a little thick, so hopefully it'll dry and we can see some of the cool color gradations. Okay, let me put this one away. What do you think? One more? Should I do one more? Now that I've got them out, I just want to play with them. Let's do this one over here. And then we'll get back to painting some chickens. Let's see. I can tell, you can see I've got a few little things that have dropped off here. They've dried up, so they're not obviously the quality that, let's say, my M. Graham paints are, or Daniel Smith's or anything like that would be, obviously, but they do look fun. And I've already got a shimmer on my water, my rinse bucket over there. That's kind of cool. Okay, so let's put this back on. I'll hold this up and you guys can see it. Liza, you're saying you think they were a good investment for me. We're going to find out. If my beetles turn out successful, there you can see. Come on, focus in. You can see a lot of the glitter in that one. See, the light really reflects off. Oh, right there you can see it. Really reflects off of there. This one's going to be just the same. Okay. Whew. Okay, let's set that down. Let's let that dry for a second, and we'll see where that goes. Actually, I'm actually kind of curious. It's been so long since I've seen. I bet I haven't touched those paints in 2 years. I think it's been at least a good 2 full years since I've touched those paints. So I really don't remember. But we'll see what they look like when they dry up. I'm sure they're going to be interesting. If nothing else, they'll be interesting, right? If nothing else. So I'm going to do a little bit more on blue here. And I just want to get in some of her feathers in here. I'm doing this purposely very light. You can just see it looks like a little, like I almost am not using much of any paint here, and it's because I'm not really. I want it to be light on purpose. I'm trying to just give an indication that there are some feathers in some of these places rather than shout at you, look at these feathers, look at them. not that time to play with those paints. not that I'm always all that subtle about everything I paint, but I'm trying. Let's see, I'm gonna do something like this. A little extra water. So you guys now have a little clue of what my little homestead is like here. Just be thankful you don't work with me, and you're not hearing me talk about my chickens all the time. I have copious pictures with them. I'll take them out and show everybody. Oh, Uncle 60, thank you once again. Thank you so much. You're always so generous. Thank you for the donation. I will totally use that. Actually, what I'll do is I'll probably take a couple of my coworkers out for a cup of coffee with that. That'll be fantastic. Thank you very much. I very much appreciate it. Very nice. Jacqueline says some of her specialty schminky paints do that. They might. Jacqueline, honestly, I've never used schminky paints. That's one of the manufacturers I've never used, and I'm sure it's not every. In fact, I know it's not every schminky paint that would do that. It's like you said, a kind of a specialty thing, but that's pretty cool that you have some that do that because it's a fun thing. And I know that Daniel Smith has a couple that will do it too. Plus Daniel Smith has the duochrome ones. They're not necessarily pigmented with mica, which I guess makes them more opaque. Now that I'm thinking about this, it makes them a bit more opaque and less watercolory, but that's okay. But yeah, I'm pretty sure Daniel Smith has a set of these also. Let's see. I want this to come up a little higher in here. I'm just playing at this point in time. Let's see what these colors are gonna go. And I'm gonna do a little bit more on blue here, and then I'm gonna grab this card again, and let's see what the colors have done. But again, I'm trying to add some, the indication of some feathers, the end of some feathers here, without overly stating, here's a big feather, right? I'm just doing a little negative painting around it. And that's going to make those feathers stand out a bit and give this painting a little bit of character. And I think I'm sure we've talked about it before. Fit and style and everything like that, and this is kind of how I've developed my style of painting to be. It's not for everybody, and that's okay, but it's kind of an interesting way to go about this. Okay, not quite dry yet, but look, you can see this one shimmer. Like there's actually quite a bit of mica in there. This one over here, not quite so much. Maybe it kind of dropped out. This one's got a bit of shimmer in it. There you can see some fluorescing right there. But look at the colors that have come out. It might be better if I hold it up here. So I'm looking on my monitor up there, right? Whoop, up there. And this looks purplish, but to me, this is way more magenta when I look at it. So I don't know if it's my monitor or the camera or what. Well, this is a really pronounced cyan and some light blue in there. And this one There's little dark pools here, here, here. To me, that's like a green gold in there, which is kind of neat. And then this one is purple and blue, and you can kind of see that. And look, it really fluoresces when you change it. Look at that. That's kind of neat. Oops, come on, come back in focus. There we go. You can see even from down here, you can see this one up here really shimmers when you turn it into the light. That's pretty neat. That's pretty neat. Let's see. Liza, have you tried core paints? I haven't tried core paints. Liza may have. Let's see. They do have different series and sets. Look them up. Not so much on glitter, but on pigment separation. Yeah, I can totally believe that. Liza, you have news. Last week you asked if anyone had ever gotten a good deal at Goodwill. You found 4 8x10 canvas boards at an area thrift store for $2. Wow. Natalie, you had a set of Paul Rubens shimmer paints on my wish list for years. And not much more. So Natalie, you never got your Paul Rubens? I want to know how Paul Rubens paints are. I'm really curious about it. It's true, Schminky tube paints don't dry as fast in the pans. They stay creamy for longer. Interesting. Is it true Schminky paints don't dry as fast? Okay. Is it true? Schminky, I believe, Schminky is one of those manufacturers that uses honey in the manufacture of their paint. So, Uncle 60, I would think that they stay semi-moist for quite a while. I don't know because I haven't used them. But I would suspect that is the way that those work. Okay, let's see. I want to darken up a little bit in this area, kind of between where her tail is coming down and her feathers are, her flight feathers here. I'm just going to continue to add little bits and pieces onto her, and I feel bad. I'm kind of neglecting everybody else here. Poor Roxy and Dolly aren't getting any love. We're going to have to give them a little bit of love here really quickly. So I'm going to stop here. Oh, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to... yes, honey bag. Okay. Lindsay Warwick just put out an extensive color chart on the new Core pan paints. Core is another one of them that I've never used that I would love to use. Almost everybody who uses them loves them, but they're quite pricey. They are quite pricey, so never really looked into them too much. But I would love to. Okay, I'm just going to paint a little bit on her face here. Give me a little bit of brown. I want to tone this down. I want to make this a little different. So I'm going to add a little sepia in here. There we go. And I'll use a little more water and a little less paint. I totally want some of this pinkish color to shine through here. It's not exactly that way in real life, but that's okay. Oh, here's an I'm going to get into this now. Here's an interesting chicken fact. Something you didn't expect to hear tonight. Here's an interesting chicken fact. You can tell when a chicken is ready to start laying by the color of her comb, right? So if her comb is like, it will turn almost gray in the winter when she starts to molt. But if it is bright red, you can almost be assured that that chicken is ready to start laying some eggs. And if it's not bright red, don't bother wasting your time. And then the other thing is this little, how do I show this? This little flap right here it covers their ear. And if, this is a weird chicken thing. If you kind of brush that aside a little bit and look at the color of their ear, oftentimes, not always, but oftentimes, whatever color that is right around that ear hole is what color the chickens will lay their eggs. Not always, because you have some that lay some weird colors. Right? You have chickens that are called Easter eggers that will lay blue and green eggs and whatnot. So it doesn't necessarily hold true for them, but for a lot of other chickens, it does hold true in that the color of skin right around their ear will determine, or will give away, I guess is the better way to say it, what color eggs they're going to lay. There we go. I want to get a face on these girls here. All right, all right. Oh, we're talking core watercolor paints. Does core disperse better in water? Who knows that? And their fingernails. Liza. What about Michael? As a nurse, I believe in color. I can tell how healthy someone is or isn't by the color of their nose. I don't want you to see my nose now. I don't know what you're going to say about mine. Or their nail and their fingernail. Interesting. Wait, Natalie, you have the pretty excellent set. So I know that Lindsay loves the pretty excellent paint set. So I've never... Actually, I think she really likes that, and doesn't she like Art Whale too? I think, God, I think I heard her talk about Art Whale at one point in time. But how do you find the pretty excellent set? How do they compare to other brands? I'm actually very curious. Because I'm probably never going to buy a set of pretty good paints. You say core disperses in water like a racetrack. That's pretty funny. Yeah, core they're a whole different animal because they have that different binding agent, and it's an older way to do it, but it's a proprietary binder, which makes their stuff really interesting. Highly pigmented, extremely bright, vibrant colors, really cool stuff. I don't know anything else about them. I'm going to stop right there. I'm going to stop right there. I don't know anything else about core other than the fact that they're actually pretty cool. And all right, so I got some feathers here that I've drawn. I don't even know. Yeah, I guess she's got some feathers that come out kind of like this, doesn't she? I was going to say, sometimes I draw out my image and I don't necessarily put stuff in the right area because I'm just trying to get get a feeling going with my painting. So sometimes it doesn't always look quite right, but I think these are in the right area. I think anybody who sees this painting and knows how I paint, they're going to say that is quintessentially me. I got a little dark here. I'm hoping this is going to lighten up just a little bit. If it doesn't, I'm going to put, since I'm going to work ahead on the assumption that it's not going to. I just want to darken this up here just a little bit more. I don't want this to be too much lighter than down on the back, because I don't want somebody's eyes to look at this and see this weighted back here, and your eyes just come back here and not go up to the front, up here. Okay, let's see, what do I have to do? Okay, I can get on to painting some more of Dolly here, and I'm going to give her a little bit color up here. I don't want to totally do away with some of that green that's shining through. I want some of that to be able to stay there. Ooh. So I feel like I'm to the point where I'm like, okay, we're doing good on the painting. We're in a good spot. Things are starting to come together. They're looking good. They're looking kind of like I want them to. Maybe not exactly. That's okay. We can deal with that. And then I stopped to think about it, and I went, man, I've talked a lot about chickens tonight. Does anybody have any other chicken questions? Let's see. Art Whale, are they light fast? Art Whale, pretty excellent paints are incredible in intensity for student quality paint. I give them as good squad. Okay, cool. And pretty excellent paints are pretty reasonably priced too, from what I remember. The only student grade stuff I buy is Jacqueline. I don't see Jacqueline. The Asian watercolor paper Bohong. I've never used Bohong paper either. What's that font? Uh-oh. You guys are saying stuff more faster than I can read it. What's that? See, that's fine. How we all learn. Let's see. Blah, 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 blah. Art Whale are tubes. They're also wonderful student grade paints. Wonderful for practice. Okay, good. Uncle 60, I do notice the cheaper watercolor paints are not as finely ground as higher quality paints. The cheaper paints have little tiny pigment rocks. They could. That could be one of the reasons why they're student grade paints. The other could very well be that they have more binder than higher quality paints. Liza, you wanna try Bohong paper? And Jacqueline says it's pretty good. I'm really picky, so there you go. Has anyone tried to make their own watercolor paint? I haven't, but I really want to. No, Natalie. Oh, it's been a very foul conversation tonight. Ay, ay, ay. I was gonna tell a joke about it, but then I chickened out. All right, somebody had to say it, right? Somebody had to say that. Someone talking about chicken, CDK. You just finished an omelet. Uncle 60, you started noticing little tiny rocks in your pour art because you started using watercolors mixed with your pour medium. You have to strain the watercolor to get the rocks out. That's interesting. You can, so Uncle 60, you can try some liquid watercolors, like PH Martin's has some reasonably priced liquid watercolors that might help you out a little bit more. They're probably going to be more than a student grade paint. I'm sure they're more than a student grade paint, but But they wouldn't have any ground in them at all. That might be something to try. The other thing might be, excuse me, you could try to use, now it depends upon your application, right? But you might have the opportunity to use some really thin inks. There are some inks that very much mimic watercolors, and you know, just by the medium alone, they're very similar. So you might have an opportunity there if you really wanted to work on getting the any, you know, super smooth, getting any kind of rocks or impurities out. Might be something to look at. If you don't take my advice on that, that's fine. Who's down on Cotman paints? Somebody, it looks like everybody's down on Cotman paints. I'm not down on Cotman paints. I like Cotman paints. And I'll tell you why I like Cotman paints. Cotman paints are, yes, they are relatively cheap. And I think that's one thing in their favor, right, is their cheapness. But they have a decent color to them, and they're very standard. So if you have people who are just learning and they don't want to invest a whole lot, they can get a nice set of paints from there, usually in their own kit, that really doesn't take much to set up and use, and what you come out with usually looks pretty decent. They are not super high grade. I'm never going to say that, but for what they are, I think they're a nice one. Let's see. I think Brusho is highly overrated. It's one purchase. Uncle Sick says liquid watercolor. Is it like ink? It is like ink. Liquid watercolor is very much like ink. Very, very much like ink. Let's see, Natalie, you hated your Cotmans. They were dull and dingy. Yeah, that's interesting. That's interesting. I guess I'm looking at it. I'm not gonna dispute whether yours were good or bad or anything. I totally take your word for it. They didn't meet your expectations. I kind of look at it as if I can get a good starter set into somebody's hands, and that gets them started painting watercolors, I think we've done a good thing. And I know a lot of people who have started with that Cotman set. Now, they've all since moved on past that onto bigger and better things, I will readily admit, but it's okay. I think the first kit I bought, however, was, oh, shoot. It was Royal Talons. What's that line? What's the line? It's not Rembrandt. Who was it? Shoot, I still have the kit over here. I think it's great that you can see chalk in really cheap paint. So I actually wrote to the Prisma company. don't know, years ago, Prisma came out and people flocked to it. They had all these crazy different kits out with birthday cake colors and I don't know, forest colors and whatever. I actually sent them an email and said, hey, I would love to try your paints out. Would you send me a Van Gogh? That's it. That's it. I said, would you be willing to send me a couple samples of your paint? And they went, absolutely. And they sent them out to me. And I used them, and the interesting thing, the really interesting thing, they wet really nicely. They go on really nicely. They're smooth. They look decent. But as soon as you had to do a layer, then they caked right up. Then they really looked horrible. I was like, that's too bad, because there's so much good about them, but as soon as you went to start layering or glazing on there, then they couldn't hold up. They got all chalky. They looked, I mean, it was pretty bad. It was pretty bad. I'm just painting. I'm painting faces on these guys, which you'll be able to see here in a second when I flip these over. Oh, I hope I do these guys justice. They're such adorable little birds. Okay, I flip it over. You can probably see they look a little better. Now you can see here on her face, it looked a little dull before, and as soon as I put on some of the detail on her face, now all of a sudden it doesn't look so, I'm going to say, out of place. Her face doesn't look out of place. So I think that's a good thing. I want to get a little bit of definition on a couple of these crowns here. Just something. I'm just turning my page. I look at it. Natalie, you bought some Sennelier after the Cotmans and what a world of difference. Even the cheap Senneliers would be a vast improvement. You know what I need to do? I need to darken this up. This is what I didn't want to do. I feel like I'm just using solid colors here. Right? Like, I'm using black. I am using it fairly thin. I don't normally use a black for anything this size. I guess that's okay. It's okay in one instance. There we go. There's her tail sticking out. That's kind of what it looks like. Here, let me do this. We're closing in on the finish. I promise we're going to get there sometime soon. I don't know how long we've been going here. For a little while. Some dinosaurs do look like birds. The earth colors are more apt to develop mold if not allowed to dry. Oh, I hate mold on my watercolors. It doesn't happen a lot, but it has happened. What am I doing? I'm going here so you can see a little better photo what we're working with. I hope you guys can see that a little bit. Let's just look at that while I get something to drink here. And you can kind of see where we're going with this. I think in the front here that blueberry looks pretty good. I think we need a little help around her head up here. She's got some darkness, like right back here. Just little things that we could do that would help her out a little bit. Come on. There we go. Little things, little things. I I just caught myself doing that. Does anybody else talk to themselves when they paint? I so often I do that, and then I tell myself, no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. And then, sure as shooting, I end up talking to myself as I paint, and then Uncle 60, I find it strange that honey is in paint. When I make watercolor medium, I put in a few drops of clove oil into the xanthan gum base. Maybe I'll add honey. Honey, actually, I think honey was one of the original binders, and then people just kind of forgot about it. And a couple of companies brought it back, M-Gram being one, Daniel Smith being another. I think Sennelier probably never really stopped using it. It would be what I suspect. But yeah, it's been a binder for a long time, and it's nice that it's a natural binder, and that it never dries out too much. That's one of the things that makes it so lovely to use, is that it allows for very easy re-wetting of colors. Interesting food for thought. Who's got some interesting food for thought? Let's see. Eliza says their tiny eyes just need some sparkle. Their tiny eyes will get some sparkle. I haven't forgotten about that. Moisture your tap water instead of distilled used in the painting. Just leave dirty water overnight and give it a sniff. Ugh. Oh, yeah. Okay. Susie says, Sudica, yes, I think that's where the new theory. Dinos were more like birds than lizards. Oh, yes. I'll tell you what. When these guys, I always say when they school up, just to be funny. When they flock around, these three girls will run on their own together. They'll just pick up and run, and across the yard or wherever. You can totally imagine that birds used to be dinosaurs when you see them run. It's such a interesting gait that they have, and it's such a their movement is so together. It's like they move here and they move there, and they move as a school or a flock. As a big flock all at once. And I can just imagine. Of course, now, see, I did watch Jurassic Park, so I can just imagine these big herds of dinosaurs running around in a flock or in a herd. I'm always going to say a herd, just a school, a gaggle. Is there a specific group for chickens? Now that I don't know. But they very much look prehistoric when they run around. The way they move, especially the younger ones. As they age, they move like we all do. They move a little differently. Oh, Natalie. Oh, you're so nice. You wish we all lived a little closer. We could all use a tribe of friends like this. Listen, we have Wednesday, right? We can't be close all the time, but at least we have Wednesday. School play. here. It was Beauty and the Beast, and I picked them up after one of the performances. Might have been the last performance. Anyways, I asked him, I'm like, well, you know, are you glad it's done? You know, you've been working on this play for a long time. Are you glad it's over? And he said no. And I was like, well, that's weird. Why are you not glad it's over? You get your nights back. You're not going to be you're not going to be spending as much time working on, remembering your lines and your movement and all that stuff. You'll have more time for homework. You can do, some other stuff. And the answer was, well, I just got to know everybody. And now the seniors that are here are going to be, graduating, going away, and I'm not going to get to spend any time with them again. And I had to remind him, I was like, yeah, but you know what? If you weren't in the play, and if you hadn't been in here, you wouldn't have known them at all. So at least you had some time. So let's be thankful that you had some time with them, and you were able to enjoy some of it. There's some sadness that you're going to be missing out, but let's take some joy in what you did get out of it, rather than dwell on, the fact that some of these, people you're not going to see anymore. And he was like, you know what? That's right. He goes, going into this, I didn't know any of them. So, kind of a change in thinking for me, and probably a change in thinking for him too. So it's nice all the way around. Ooh, I don't know. I just put a little bit on there. I don't know. Maybe it makes him look makes him look a little angry. I think. I don't know. Let's see what's going on. Do you ever do a Zoom painting session? I have not. I have not. I would consider it. I don't know how I would do it. I mean, I know how Zoom works, obviously. Or maybe not obviously, but I do know how Zoom works. But I don't know. I'll think about it. Doing a Zoom. Is that just because, I'm just curious, paints are mandatory. Is that just because you want a little bit more interaction? I'm just curious. I might consider it. I want to put, let's see, I want a little bigger brush here. I'll get some a little darker here. Let's see who's Zoom art paints are mandatory. Oh, pants are mandatory. Yes, pants would definitely be mandatory. Pants would definitely be mandatory. Yes, pants are mandatory. I think I'm on Zoom with my job. I'll bet you I'm on Zoom on average 4 or 5 hours a day. Doesn't mean I won't come on here and do a Zoom session. But I'm sorry, I'm getting all quiet because I'm trying to do a little highlight. Got to concentrate. I'm still seeing flecks of sparkle in my water over there. See, we've dried. Ooh, yeah, look, we've dried. That's got more of a sparkle on that. Look at that. That one really the drier it's gotten, you can see a lot more of that. Actually, if I hold it up that way, you can see it's much more magenta. Even this one up here, you can see there's quite a bit of mica. And then this one over here at the same time. These are interesting paints. They're interesting paints. It'd be good. I think this is going to be good for insects. Let's see. And on Zoom, only one person can speak at a time. If I do it, I'm just going to mute everybody. The only problem with a Zoom meeting is that we'll all talk faster than we can type. I'll solve it. Nobody's allowed to talk. No, that is an issue. That's definitely an issue. Is that everybody has the opportunity to talk, and there's a lot of in my meetings, and like I said, I'm in hours and hours of Zoom meetings a day with other people who are in Zoom meetings for hours and hours a day, and we still have the issue of people talking over each other just because it's, you know, it's one of those things. It's easy to do. Oh, I should have put water on here first. Oh, well, you know what? We'll just put some water on it right now. Let's see. Let's spread this out. Put my background on here. I just grabbed a random brush. Actually, I like this brush. Oh, I don't like this. This is an Art Secret brush that I bought a long time ago, and I like this because it's got these nice bristles. It's part squirrel hair, part synthetic, but the synthetic bristles really help the bristles stand out and stand up. And on just a pure squirrel hair brush, it doesn't work so well. As you can imagine, squirrel hair is pretty soft, and this operates much more like a traditional round brush. This is Art Secret here. Actually, not plugging it, but I do like this brush, and they're pretty cheap. The only thing I don't like is it's got a plastic handle, and I don't like that. I gotta get some of this dark out of here. Okay. Let's see. Sadiq, you're a Chicagoan. So actually, Sadiq, you're not far from where my brother is living. He's kind of on the other side of the lake, but you're not far from him. I remember when I flew to see him and the rest of the family up there, or the rest of his family, a couple of years ago. I flew into Chicago, caught the L to a train station, and then took the train. God, where did I take the train? Over to Gary, Indiana? Something like that. The train goes over there. I think it was Gary. Somewhere around there. Anyway, lovely. Spent a little time in Chicago. I saw the Bean. I saw the Bean in Centennial Park. Is that where the Bean is, in Centennial Park? Did I get something right? I think it's funny that Chicago. I mean, Chicago's known for lots of things, but when you tell people you saw the Bean, they're all like, "Oh, you saw the Bean! It's a bean." I went to Chicago. Oh, you went to Chicago. Did you see the bean? Yes, I saw the bean. Thank you. I saw the bean. I did see the bean. All right. Okay. Yes, Centennial Park. I got it. You spent a long week stranded in Chicago airport one night. Boom, boom, boom. I spent... Where did I spend that long night? I flew into... Oh, it wasn't Chicago. I was going to say, I spent 72 hours at LaGuardia Airport. That was pretty horrible. I'll be honest with you. If you ever have the chance, don't do that. I actually was trying to get out of New York City. I know it doesn't have anything to do with Chicago. I was trying to get out of New York City, and we were driving to the airport, and it was snowing so hard and so fast that they couldn't clear anything off the runway. And we kind of got there just in time to wait. I mean, we literally got there just in time to wait. So everything was frozen. Everything was delayed. Everything was going nowhere. I got to spend a few days with, I don't know, 8,000 of my closest friends that I'd never met before. It was fantastic. Okay, I'm looking at this, and this is about what I wanted this to look like. You know what I need to do? Well, give me a little bit of this blue. Let's get in neutral. I need a little bit of a shadow underneath here. Why does that look green? More neutral. So a little bit of a shadow underneath there. Oh. O'Hare's not bad. The most painful airport to me is Atlanta. I've been stranded in a marriage for like, oh no. No, no, no. No, no, no. No, not going there. No. I'm sure Mrs. Uncle is a wonderful person. I'm sure you're just saying that to get a laugh. My husband says our marriage only feels like he's spent about 30 minutes in boiling oil. Oh, come on. Come on. I guess, though, you know, if you can laugh and you can say stuff like that and you don't have a fear of reprisal or whatever, I'm good with it. I mean, my wife and I say the same stuff. we really do. It's all good. Okay, there's some... I don't know, I'm trying to get a little bit of... I don't want to have no shadow down here. Maybe this is ruining the whole thing. I don't know, I looked at this and I went, I think this needs a little something, but now that I put it on, maybe it doesn't need much of anything. I don't know. I don't do well with shadows. What I need is somebody to teach me how to be... Wow. You were married 30 years. That's fantastic, Natalie. That's actually fantastic. She's been married that long. When my grandparents were still alive, and they're not anymore. They both died well into their 90s. But the local paper did an article on them when they were both still alive for their 75th wedding anniversary. I know, it was like, holy cow, they've been married 75 years. Most people don't even live for 75 years, and they've been married for 75 years. I thought that was fantastic. So I'm always, 39. I read that wrong. You've been married 39. That's fantastic. It's fantastic. Let's see. Sudika says, you really like the negative painting around the feathers. Thank you. And Jacqueline, you had 37. I don't know what I'm ever going to make it to. I'm my wife. So you guys talk about your marriage being bad. My wife and I talk about different ways that we could kill each other. We both listen to true crime podcasts, and we're always like, oh, wait a minute, now this person did it this way, and this person did it that way, so you better watch out. If my drink is particularly sweet here, it probably has some ethylene glycol in it, some some from your radiator. Okay, I think I'm going to end this here. Actually, you know what? I'm going to do one other thing. And I hope I can do this without screwing this up too much. Because Dolly here has... Let's see, what's wet and what's not. It's not wet here. Dolly has, right back here, probably not that far. Maybe it's up here. All right, she has a feather that goes right behind her ear here. So I want to put that on. And I'm going to let that come up kind of underneath her chin here a little bit. I hope that this will just add a little bit of extra on here. I worry about this, with this being wet. I think I need a slightly larger brush to feather this out with. I worry about this pulling this paint right back off of there, but if we get something on here and it goes right, we're just going to add a little bit of extra texture to her face right there. Oh, I think we're going to go with that. I think I like that. There we go. So I think I'm not going to touch it after that. I'm going to leave it be. I'm going to sign it, and then we'll do a little good bad here. That's a good signature. Let's see. Your basement is a Uncle 60. Your basement is a mini Michael's. Don't tell your wife. Oh. Let's see. Everybody's talking about how good their spouse is with their art studio. My wife allowed me to build this out in her garage, so that I think I'm. God bless it. There's one other thing I want to do here. I keep looking up and going, oh, I forgot to do this. I forgot to do that. I need to differentiate this tail feather over here a little bit. One on that side and one on this side. And I think this is really going to help. There. Okay, good. And I'm gonna do the same thing here. Oh, why did you guys let me sign this? I wasn't done. Somebody should have told me. Somebody should have told me I needed to look at this one more time. But that's always part of it, though, isn't it? This looks fabulous. My family will be happy to have it. Are you kidding? My family's not getting this. This is going on a wall in my office. I already have the desktop wallpaper on my computer at work is already this. I think it is here too. It is here on this computer here too. It's this same image. Okay, all right, all right. Now I got the tail, and I'm gonna let you see. That's what I did. Gave a little extra definition there. That tail there, a little extra definition. Whew, I'm gonna step away because if I do anything more, I know I'm gonna be messing with it. Okay. Good and bad. Okay, a couple of things, good and bad. Right away, one thing that I should have done a little bit differently is I should have put a little bit of color back here on her face. It's a bit white. That is to say, it's too white. If I'd have just knocked that color back a little bit, just even a very light wash, I think would have been a bit more effective than just leaving it white. Didn't realize that. I could probably go back now if I did a really quick wash, but I don't want to take the chance of it messing up the dark that's on there. I actually really like their faces. I like the face here. I like the face here. Think they worked out really well. I was a little unsure. They're a little simple, right? A gradient of color with a few lines on them, but I think it works out pretty nicely. I like the feathers through here. A lot of texture. And again, the original image has a lot of texture there. I don't know. I needed a little something extra up here somewhere, I think. I don't dislike it, but there could have been something more. I think just a little opportunity lost. I like on Dahlia back here, I like that I've got that green undertone. It is very reminiscent of her real feathers. Maybe I could have had another layer of feathers on here. Would have helped out. Maybe something around her neck up here. There's typically a little neckline. This is a little lower, but I wanted to, I don't know if you can see it. I wanted to kind of extend this line down a little bit, which I did, but I think maybe I kind of missed the mark over here. And I think that this little dark up in the corner over her ear really helps out there. There's a little, I was going to say scaredy cat, but maybe I should have said I was a little chicken about painting with the black. I don't paint a lot with it, and it got a little blotchy over here. This is one of the colors that maybe M-Gram doesn't do the best with. It seems to just sit on top of the paper more than other colors, and it re-wets so easily, and it's hard to put a glaze over top of, harder than other colors. So I will say there are a couple of areas in here that I struggled with a little bit. You probably saw that. Overall, I like it. I think it's cute. I hope that Blue and Dolly and Roxy like it. I'm going to show it to them. Could you do those missing details with colored pencils? I could. You totally could. I don't do a whole lot with colored pencils, but you totally could. You could do it with watercolor pencils. You draw it on and then bleed it out, or pull it out with that. I guess you'd still risk the color underneath. You could do it with watercolor pencil, colored pencils. I have some, like I said, I just don't use them enough to be all that effective with them. I think that's it. I think that's all I have here. Next week, I don't know, I've got a whole list of things to do next week. Yesterday and Monday I sat down and I did, I 5 or 6 or 7 different drawings for things coming up. So I've got those. I've started to look at my beetles that I'm going to do for a challenge, for my challenge. I'll definitely be using some of these paints, whether I use them just like this or whether I use them in conjunction with a different, some traditional paints. We'll see, but I'll definitely be using those. That's all I have. Okay, yeah, I read that. I'm trying to see if I missed anything. Uncle 60, it looks like he had to take off. I want to thank everybody. Uncle 60, of course, thank you for the donation to the coffee fund. I very much appreciate that. Jacqueline, Natalie, Susie, Sudike, Liza, Tracy was here. Was she not? But I'm not sure who else is here or who was here. Anyways, everybody who's still here, thank you for joining and making my Wednesday evening so enjoyable. I truly enjoy coming and painting with you all. I'm glad I didn't chicken out this week. Boom, boom, boom. I hope you had an excellent time. And we will do it again next week. I'll let you know Monday, Tuesday timeframe what we're going to do next week. Until then, have a great rest of your evening. Have a great rest of your week. And enjoy some watercolor painting. Until then, thanks so much. Bye-bye.